welcome to Guys, a video series talking about different types of baseball guys. In this episode, we're talking about same name guys. We're going to try to put together the best team we can of guys who share the same name with another major leaguer. It took a bit of hunting to try to put this list together, but there are quite a lot of players who have a major league alter ego. One duo that didn't go on this team is the Brady Feigls. You may have seen a viral article about these two guys who have the same, very unique name and look exactly like each other, like twins separated at birth. But sadly, they were not eligible for this squad as one of them has not made it to the majors. I think it's this one, but who the hell can tell? We're also not going to take lefty reliever Mike Stanton and Giancarlo Stanton in his pre-Giancarlo era. He used to think that his given name was too tough for other people to pronounce, and I guess somebody said,
"Why don't you just go by Mike?"
Actually, Michael was his middle name. We're going to use the same methodology that we used in the Brothers episode, where you've got to put both guys on the squad. So this inevitably leads to some compromises where you end up with one guy with a wealth of talent, but you also got to take on the dude that's just
looking for a handout.
The other parameters are that it's got to have an 11 or 12-man pitching staff, and relievers have to have pitched at least 25% of their MLB innings in relief. And there also has to be a viable backup at every position. Okay, let's get into it. Catcher, relief pitcher, Will Smiths. We're getting jiggy with it right away as both our starting catcher and our top lefty reliever are kicking it Big Willie style. These two fresh princes...
Oh, wow!
Yeah, okay, good point. We'll move on before I start trying to generate AI slop of the baseball Will Smiths eating spaghetti. First base, third base, Frank Thomas's. We're filling in both corner infield positions here with the Big Hurt and the Big Donkey at first and third base respectively. We all know about the excellence of the Big Hurt, but the Frank Thomas from the 1950s was a solid player in his own right. He was a consistent 25 to 35 home run guy from the early 50s to the early 60s. He was a bit of a liability defensively, playing mostly outfield, but also spending a lot of time at third base and a fair amount at first as well. Second base, pinch hitter, Joe Morgans. Okay, this one's a very lopsided one with Inner Circle Hall of Famer Joe Morgan starting at second base, and then a guy who was a professional pinch hitter with a 193 career batting average. Really giving professional hitters a bad name there. But he can back up third base a little bit. Walpole Joe, that's hard to say, is more known for his 4 years managing the Red Sox from 88 to 91. He took over mid-season of 88 and established his leadership qualities in his 7th game by standing up to Jim Rice, which probably takes a lot of courage. Morgan had pinch hit for the declining star with Spike Owen in order to get down a sac bunt with the Red Sox leading 5-4. Rice was understandably upset and let Morgan know, trying to flex his veteran leadership muscles. Morgan didn't give in to the veteran, and after the tense confrontation, he stormed through the dugout, yelling out the Mudvillian phrase, "I'm the manager of this 9.
Who do you think you are? I am!
The team would come together under Morgan, going 46-31 to close out the year and win the division. Shortstop and shortstop. Alex Gonzalez's. These guys might be the two most similar ones on here. Their careers overlapped from 98 to 2006, and they both played shortstop and were above average defensively while being subpar offensively. Their career numbers are super similar. And both figured significantly in the 03 Marlins World Series championship run. Of course, this Alex Gonzalez hit a walk-off homer in Game 4 of the World Series. But this Alex Gonzalez made this error in the 8th inning of Game 6 of the NLCS against the Marlins. Yes, this is the Bartman inning. People forget that right after that, the Cubs' Alex Gonzalez booted this ball that would have been a sure force out at second base. If he gets that out and everything else plays out the same way, the Cubs get out of the inning leading 3-2. Left field, relief pitcher, Ryan Braun. Another uneven one here with the elite hitting former Brewer manning left field and the other Ryan Braun pulling mop-up duty in the pen. Centerfield, Billy Hamilton's. This is a century-spanning duo who shared a surprisingly similar skill set. Well, in one aspect of the game. They were both great base stealers. Deadball Billy is number 3 in steals all time, and the modern Billy set the record for single-season minor league stolen bases with an insane 155 in 2012. The similarities end there, though, as Deadball Billy was a much, much better hitter. He batted .344 for his career and even broke .400 once in a season. and he had elite plate discipline, leading the league in walks and OBP 5 times. Modern Billy, not so great with the bat, but as a bench guy, he'll be a great complement to this outfield. He was excellent defensively and can be a late inning replacement for his namesake, who is not known for his glove. And of course, he gives you an excellent pinch runner. Check him out here scoring from second base on a sac fly. Right field relief pitcher, Mike Marshalls. MLB had an active Mike Marshall every year from 1967 to 1991, with only one overlapping year in 81. Both of these guys had their best seasons with the Dodgers. Right fielder Marshall was a solid power hitter who moved between corner outfield and first base. He probably should have stayed at first as he was not great defensively. And closer Mike Marshall was an excellent old-school innings-eating reliever who won the Cy Young in 1974 with a massive 208-inning season. DH starting pitcher, Luis Castillos. Okay, this one's super weird. Luis Castillo at DH? Yeah, this is just how it worked out because I've got a lot of dead weight on the bench. So he's a non-slugging DH, but he still has some offensive value as a lifetime 290 hitter with a 368 OBP and good base stealing skills. And maybe you don't want his glove in there anyway. Pitcher Luis gives us a very solid starter in the rotation. Weirdly, there's another Luis Castillo who is teammates with this Luis Castillo on this year's Mariners. He had a couple of lackluster starts before being sent down earlier in the season. Starting pitcher, third base, Randy Johnsons. In order to get the big unit at the top of our rotation, we'll have to take on this smaller unit to back up third base. He does give you a solid glove at least. Starting pitcher, reliever, Pedro Martinez's. These two hurlers from the Dominican Republic both came up in the early 90s. You know the Hall of Famer, of course. But the other Pedro had a couple of very good relief seasons for the Padres before being dealt as part of the massive Ken Caminiti trade. Then he fell off a cliff. Walking 7.5 per 9 will do that. Starting pitcher, reliever, Bob Gibson's. This rotation is going to be pretty incredible. We get Gibby in the rotation, but we've got to take on his early 80s Brewers namesake, who, well, he can give you some innings, I guess. Starting pitcher, relief pitcher, Roberto Hernandez's. These two Roberto Hernandez's were teammates in 2007. Well, kind of. They were both on the 07 Indians, but the starter Hernandez was known at that time as Fausto Carmona, a fake name he had used in a Faustian bargain to illegally obtain a visa to play in the US. He would eventually be arrested and miss most of the 2012 season to visa issues and MLB suspensions before returning as Roberto Hernandez in 2013 with the Rays. The other Roberto was a solid 17-year journeyman closer. Okay, we've got 2 roster spots left, and one of them has to go to a backup catcher. I thought about going with Javi Lopez here, along with quality lefty setup man Javier Lopez, but Javi was always known as Javi, not Javier, even though that's his given name. So I'm going to keep it clean and go with the Ramon Hernandez's. Catcher Ramon was a consistently decent backstop for 15 seasons. His bat isn't quite as good as Javi Lopez, but the glove is a bit better. And we get lefty relief pitcher Ramon Hernandez, who can provide some consistent innings from the pen, while sporting a plus mustache. He had some solid years in the 1970s, but if he had played in the era of loogies, he probably could have had a much longer Arthur Rhodesian career trajectory. He was terrible in his final year in 1977, but only when he faced righties. He could still get the lefties out. There we go, that's our roster of same name guys. We've got an insanely good top 3 in the rotation, and a very good back end too. The bullpen isn't super deep, but with old school fireman Mike Marshall and a righty-lefty closer duo in Hernandez and Smith, it should be pretty solid. We've got backups everywhere, with Luis Castillo being able to move to second base to back up Joe Morgan. The bench is very weak, but the starting lineup is terrific. Let us know who we missed or how you would shuffle the pieces around to improve on this roster.